Yes, Chris, Mr. Christian, how you doing?
I'm good, Ola. Thank you for inviting me today. It's a good thing to have a podcast like this, because what I see is that there's a lot out there in terms of relationships or music, but this is really about unspoken things and people within the community who are doing amazing things. You know, especially some of the guests you've already had. They have some interesting things to say. So I really think this is a good platform you have.
Yeah. I always say in the introduction, how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah.
How is everything?
I feel like as a man, sometimes there's no rest days. There isn't. Out here in London, you've got to grind, you've got to work hard. And then weekends, I'm just feeling.
I totally understand that, but out there,
Yeah.
People will always say to you, yeah, you're a man, but women go through it as well. This,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing about being a man. It's like we have this pressure to be the provider, to be go-getters, to go get it. I'd say it's different in many ways, because where a man is a provider, and that for a man, I don't really come across many single fathers who are getting the support like that. And also, I think men, we just cower away. Sometimes we don't want the help, or we don't want the support. So the best thing we do is just keep our head buried and just get on with it.
Yeah, that's another thing, I try to challenge men, most especially in my field, that it's always difficult to put yourself out there and talk about things, because of, as a man, just like the world has called it, the alpha male.
Yeah.
You want to be like straight on point, my head is up and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas we try to excuse all those things that it's not really happening, but it's really happening. A DJ, a Nigerian DJ in UK now, he just all of a sudden just killed himself, and I'm like, wow. But I know definitely, because the media is saying that, some people have been talking behind the wife and things like that. But I look up behind that.
Yeah.
That no, it's not just like that.
No.
It has been something beneath,
of course,
building.
Oh, for sure.
So as a man, you try to offer help, but men just need to step into the platform that, I'm going through this.
Yes.
I'm going through this.
Yeah.
I'm going through this. I was listening to Peterson. He said majority of the people in psychiatric hospital,
yes,
are men.
Men. Yeah.
And you're like, shoot. So in any way, shape or form, it's going to be difficult for men. I know definitely, as we are ego driven,
of course,
person.
We are.
Yeah. So, but I just, and this is why, this platform is good for me, because I'm trying to, like, I'm going to make sure if I'm going to preach it every day, to people, not especially in my work, I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, definitely as a educator that you are, involving students,
Yeah.
challenges and things like that.
Yeah.
How has it been, most especially with what is going on economically?
Yes. It was, I would say it was tough even before COVID-19 and before the economic crisis, particularly for students.
Yeah.
Where I've worked in higher education for going on 6 years. And so I've seen how things have just drastically just got more difficult. Especially for the students that have like responsibilities. They have rent to pay, they have kids, and there's only so much you can do around a full-time study. So if you're doing a full-time study where you're in 3 to 4 days a week, around that, when do you have time to work? When do you have time to even do your university work? When do you have time to rest? Rest is just as important as getting on with university tasks and assignments. So I see that things have been exacerbated because of COVID, for one. I think we've really only just come out of that recently, within the past year properly. And then things are hard. Things are more difficult because with student finance and what students get, the very maximum you will get in tuition fee, maintenance loan, which is what you get on the side of your tuition, is around £12,000. So £12,000, if you did that as a full-time job and you're paying rent, you're not really taking home that much. If you break that down over a year, it's only £1,000 a month. If you're getting 12,000 over a year, students tend to get their payments in 3 lump sums, usually around September, and then another one in January and one in April. So managing that and having all these responsibilities is just, it's very difficult. And I know that from experience, having been a student part-time. So now with the cost of gas and electric going through the roof, and then you've got fuel, and you've just got general products like are just going up. You're seeing these significant changes. I'm really concerned that we're going to see a growth in poverty just generally, but especially even for those who really don't have a full-time job or have some side hustle or making some money on the side. So I'm always all about, in my role now, where I work, I help students get jobs, part-time, full-time, placements, internships. I'm in that position to offer out good opportunities that are paying quite well. So I'm always like advocating for students to access our service, get their CV worked on, their covering letter, work on their LinkedIn, get something on the side, even if I know studies can be hard, especially second and third year, and if you're doing a master's. But what we all have to, we can't rely on this government at the moment for any handouts. We can't. They're not really going to help because the country, their priority is keeping, the economy at a certain level, keeping it stable, and I think everyone has to have that sort of go-getter, hustler mentality as much as we can. Try and make money where you can, whether it's selling things online or whether it's, doing a part-time job or anything. I would really encourage that.
In your field and as a person, there's always been this growing trend now that why go to school? Why when I can go get other things?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, You get the certificate, you get the whatever, but at the end of the day, you're still in this circle.
Yeah.
In your view, what can you say?
Yeah, so I'd say that there are many routes. There's not just the sole route. There are certain jobs, certain professions, like more on the professional level, of course, that do have a standard where you need a bachelor's degree. They're not going to accept anyone otherwise. It'll say on a application, it will say essential and desirable, and if it says essential that you need a bachelor's degree, that means you need a bachelor's degree.
Essential.
So the essentials
desirable.
and then desirable is secondary to that. So that means, if it says you need a bachelor's as desirable, you can have experience. But what I think really helps is having both experience and having a qualification. And there's multiple ways you can attain that. You don't have to go to university to attain qualifications or even at that degree level study. So now, I'd say from what I see in the sector, there are a lot of apprenticeships you can go down. So you could do an apprenticeship where you work with a company, let's say for 2 years, you get a level 3 qualification. Then there's chances to upscale and do the higher apprenticeship, which is a degree level apprenticeship, which the company will pay for. So instead of you paying £9,250 at your own student debt, why not substitute for your organization where you're working to pay for that? And then they can provide extra pay, they provide extra training for free, or it might come at some level of cost, but at least you're working with a company that's covering most of the cost. So there's that route for the apprenticeships. And then obviously if you just, for most of our students at the university, they're probably relying on that degree for the end result, which you need experience as well. A lot of employers are saying you need experience in certain programs or certain aspects or skill sets. So I say the balance of both, but one way of doing that is an apprenticeship. And while at university, I always encourage, and my job is to help students get placements and internships while they're in study. So some students will do it as a 1-year placement, they'll do a 4-year degree, one of the years is a placement. If they do that placement year with a good company that's credible, they do their 3 years of study and 1-year placement, there's more chance they'll walk and graduate with a very lucrative opportunity, like a good graduate scheme. And some graduate schemes can pay upwards of £30,000 starting, So there's that as well. So, but while they're in study, if someone is in university, I just encourage, there are ways to make some money.
Do they know, or do you have to force them?
I'd say some students do know and they do inquire, but for the vast majority, it's about getting the word out and the promotion. And not every student, it doesn't always meet their timetabling, or some might just get a retail job or hospitality or something like that. So I think there's always work to do to promote. And the thing is, with what I'm doing right now, I'm actually running a big careers event in the next few weeks.
Oh, okay.
It's for business, computing and engineering students. I've got over 32 large-scale, top-level employers coming.
Okay, you give us the link. So
Yeah, I will.
People can always.
So I'm really I really see such great opportunities, and sometimes that's what I'm saying with COVID. I feel like some level of this underlying anxiety around what COVID has done, and a sense of self among students. I don't feel that all of them are as comfortable just yet, but I think this is just a matter of time that we're gonna see people kind of coming out their shell, students coming out their shell, taking up these opportunities. But what I do see across the sector, which is amazing, is that especially for young black males and females, there's a big push on black people of black origin getting into tech now, because the tech sector only comprises of around 4 to 7% people of black origin, and the projection with tech and AI is that in the coming years we're going to see that a lot of jobs are going to involve tech and AI, and with that projection they need diversity. There's employers out there like really putting out there on their applications, we are actively looking for people of black, Asian, majority ethnic background.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there are. So there's even a few things coming up in this month, Black History Month, that would be really of use.
I know that want to talk about, you know. But, you know, the thing is, do you have to, because sometimes, I understand that people are, because sometimes when I go or talk to people, you know, they always say, oh yeah, there's no opportunity, this. But like you said now, do you have to physically start looking for those kind of AI jobs, or do you have to like your career coming up now, do people have to come?
Yeah, I'd say that, like, for example, like my event, I have to put the word out. I have to actively, particularly, it is a university centered event, so I have to reach out to the students that are most applicable to this event, because this one's just for business, computer and engineering students. And then so I reach out to the heads of the schools and say, look at the employers I've got, look at all these opportunities, get the word out to your students. I also email the students. I also actively flyering out and putting the branding across the campus. So we have posters with QR codes where they can register. So there is that. It's about the awareness as well. So there is the word being put out to the 1,000, 2,000 or so students that are applicable for that event. And yeah, it's really down to them. You can't, you know, as they say, you know, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So it really depends on their willingness to want and get it. But some of the organizations I've got, you know, they are offering really good graduate jobs, placements, internships, sessional casual work where they can do it part-time around their study. You know, I think there are employers actually trying to actively engage with students, especially now from what I'm seeing more than ever, is for those who are of black, Asian, majority ethnic to get into the tech sector, because there is such a shortage. And as we're seeing with tech and AI, they need people of diversity to create these programs, or then and algorithms to meet the demand of consumers.
One thing I always say with once it's Black History Month is that I don't like to, that's for me anyway, I don't like to like, oh, it's October, Black History Month, blah blah blah, and then celebrate it. For me, it's kind of like, there's nothing, you know, like celebrating, but can we use that month to kind of sexualize all the things that we haven't been doing? just like what you said.
Yeah.
You know, okay, this Black History Month, all right. How are we pushing 200 black guys going out for AI?
Yeah.
Different, you know. So, you know, if it's, you know, like, okay, how do we put 500 people into property courses and things like that?
Yeah.
But I don't like when we like, oh, yes, we've had, you know, thank God they've, you know, recognized.
They've recognized,
yes. But let's just not do it. Let's just effectualize and put things into perspective. And you know, as a student as well, you know, I always like, okay, yeah, don't just stop there. Don't just stop there. You know, be where you should be. You know, if you're gonna, you know, I talk to youths.
Yeah.
You need to dress. You have to present yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You understand? Yeah. So that's one thing I'm always like, okay, yeah, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Again. Yes, we've celebrated, or we're still celebrating all the achievements that we've done before. You just said about internet and AI and things like that. As students, you know, do people come as academic, like professors and, you know, I know people like those like doctors and things like that, but you know, as professors, do your students come?
Yeah, I guess we sometimes do within my university. We do have some professors who are really doing so much work, and then we also have those who've successfully graduated, become alumni of the university, and they come back years later saying, I've set up this company, I've set up this initiative, we want to take your students. And the beauty of that is it's really paving the way for the next generation of students. So, you know, there are individuals who do get there and do aim high and reach amazing places to become, you know, very successful in their craft and in their field. And you know, some I guess are aiming for PhD level to get the professor or to get the doctorate, you know. But I know that comes for one with the financial means to do that, because that's nearly 5 years of study and research and specializing in your area. And I think typically anyone who gets to that level often tend to be a bit older. They're more mature. They've worked in their profession for 20-30 years, and then they decide to do the doctorate. So I think there's room for growth. There's always, I think what we need to all see is that when we're not, there's time, and we've got time to go down that road. I think there's a lot of pressure, especially social media and what, you know, there's a lot of pressure on people, or particularly students, to get everything now. You know, you could study your bachelor's, then go into the field, get some experience, work hard, and then do the master's specifically for what you intend to do. So if you're doing, let's say, computer science, you work in the field of computer science, then you specialize in the masters in information systems or cybersecurity, and then you think maybe the next step's the doctorate or the PhD to become a professor or a doctor within that area. Or the same with biomedical, or the same with medicine. I think all of us want it's the microwave generation. That's what I call it. Instant. Everyone wants it instantaneous, so they can stunt, so they can boast, and so they can they can have the scroll or the gown. You know, life is, I always say, it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint, because if you sprint, you're going to get burnt out and it may not work according to your plans. If you are academic and really bright and academic, that's a bonus. Yeah. But I see people who are not even, let's say, the most academic aiming for PhD and doctorate. It's just because they've now got to a certain point in their maturity and their focus. Yeah, they can do it. So I wouldn't allow that to deter people. Maybe that would be something we can all do if we wanted to. You know, specialize in our craft and in our field. So, and then do the doctorate level or professor level study. You
also manage students with finance, you know, as well.
Yep.
What's the mix with finance and social? Because as a student, you know, you want to be out there, enjoying and, you know, go places, do things, and at the end of the day or at the end of the semester or whatever, you get so much bills, and that becomes like a mental issue, like, okay, burden, and it comes to the mind as well.
For sure.
How do you manage with or talk to students with?
So the work I'm doing now is more the employment focus, but my background has very much been the sort of pastoral support for nearly 6 years or so in education. So I've seen far too many times where I guess students focus on the good times and the experience rather than the study and rather than actually financial management. So the work I've done over the past 6 years is sometimes having these sort of frank, honest conversations with students and figuring out how they're spending their money, thinking about budgeting, maybe cutting back on the excess, because it is that lump sum they get at the start. And some students, especially the younger ones who have just left college, they've got, let's say they could get nearly between 2 to 4 grand lump sum just deposited in their bank account. This is the first large bit of money they've probably ever had in their life, and they think it's just free money, but they don't know that at the end of it they'll be paying the direct. It's not even direct debit; it comes straight out your paycheck without like a tax, just like you pay income tax and NI. There's that thing that says SLC, disbursement, or SLC, which is a student loans company, and they're taking that money out automatically. So I'm always saying you got to think about the long term, because once you do, if you spend all this money now, what I typically do see is that when students get their first lump sum in September, by December, the struggle's there. Because Christmas is coming up. Everyone wants to meet up and have food and do the whole family friendship gatherings, and then you get the emails coming in saying, I have no money to eat, I have no money to pay my rent. But whose responsibility is that? It's not entirely the university. It's not entirely anyone but yourself. So there is actually things that the service I work for do to prevent that, by going in at the start of the term and talking about the student finance and how it works. You know, that the payments are free over 3 payment periods, and they can do like financial assessments for the students about how to use their money wisely and all that sort of stuff. But not the majority of students won't get that information, because you know you're talking over 10,000 plus students. Not everyone's going to hear that message. So it's just usually when they're in crisis, the students will reach out and say, I need a hardship, I need a bursary, I need emergency loan. And sometimes that will be assessed. If they can see that you've been excessively spending, how
Yeah.
are you then going to go get a lump sum from the university or from for a hardship if you've been going to the pub every other day, if you've been spending on Amazon, ASOS, everything, you know, it's about responsibility. But I think those are the sort of things that at the same time it teaches you experience as a student. It teaches you, makes you wiser. So sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes financial struggle teaches you things that you're like, I never want to go back there again. I don't want to be broke again. You know that mentality where you're like, I don't want to be like begging for money again. And that sometimes is a life lesson. It's an adversity. Sometimes we shy away from adversity. And finances, you know, those times when we're really struggling, we learn to better ourselves, and we learn, I'm not going to get down that road again. I'm going to manage my money better. But it's just if it is coupled with the finances and the mental health aspect, and it depends on what you're spending your money on as well. If it is things like gambling and drinking and living this fast lifestyle, it can have a real detrimental effect, you know. So that's where sometimes a student might come with the financial issue, but it's more than that. It's the mental, it's the relationships, it's the other things, as we mentioned earlier, you know, particularly even for men, it's not always just about the finances, it's all the other things that come with it, you know, the reasons why people have mental health and struggle with it. It's multifaceted. It's not a singular issue. You know, we as humans, we can have some complexities that we don't always address in the right way. We address it through escapism, or we address it through, you know, going out, spending excessively, getting drunk, getting high. You know, those are all bad coping mechanisms, all bad ones, and particularly for students, young people in the you know, the younger generation, what they call them, the Gen Zs, and the millennials. The millennials do it too. So yeah.
Well, what's the difference between the Gen Zs and millennials?
I think the Gen Zs are the ones that are pretty much born after year 2000. So the ones from 2000 up till now, they're Gen Z. Gen Zs are like usually on their phone like this. You'll see them. They're like that. Hooked on Snapchat and Instagram. I think millennials we're a bit more away from social media, but we still have our fair share of complexities.
Yeah, because I was listening to a guy on the TikTok as well. Like, he was saying how the Gen Zs are like, you know, you as a individual, you should say, for example, you should take your room, I mean your shoe to the living, or to your room or whatever. But the Gen Z was like, why do I do that? Why will I? Why will I? And he was saying,
but you know what the funny thing is this is the same thing that the boomers, the baby boomers, the ones who were born after World War II up to the 60s, let's say, this is what they said about the Generation X. They said, the Generation X, they're wild, they're not academic, they don't care. And then it happened with the millennials, the millennials from the Gen X, and then now it's always, we look at the younger generation and think, listen to this slang what are they talking about? What are they doing?
That's another thing, you know, that's all I talk about. Still leave, but it's just that it's getting more complicated.
What we have to see is that this generation a lot of this younger generation, they grew up only knowing technology. They've only grew up with phones or tablets in their hand and with the instantaneous. So I guess even that approach that that young man had to the girl is just more like direct, abrupt, like instantaneous.
Yeah.
It's no like,
there's no
there's no courtesy, there's no you know, that's kind of maybe just what they used to.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
Yeah.
not the days of the early 2000s where everyone's listening to Chris Brown and Bobby Valentino and everyone's all dressed like, you know. It's like they're hood up like, yo, come here, like, yo, where you going? And then that's it. You know, I don't really see these young kids now, or the youngsters, the teenagers, really dressing like they used to, or like showing that level of, I guess, you know, if it's being nice or just being courteous. I don't know how to say it really. So, but that's just the way they are, and I guess the generations even coming up after them will be different. And there's always just patterns. There's always patterns and waves of how the generations act, and I guess it just becomes a bit more foreign to us as we get older. We're like, what did they just say? Like, why are they talking like that? Now I'm surprised sometimes when I'm on the bus and I'm just hearing the kids. I'm like, what are they talking about? Talking about Fortnite, TikTok, and did you see that? Did you see that thing? The viral video. So well, it's just they have access to a lot of information now that we as kids, or when I was younger, I would have had to have researched it.
Yeah, you have to go for it.
You have to go for it. Yeah. But now, at the click of a button,
it's there. Yeah. Right now, it's just, you know, but it's just where you subscribe to. Yeah. You know, then the algorithm now gives you all those things like that.
It gives you, and that's how. I think that's why social media, it can be a bit of a, I call it like a dark hole, because it's never ending.
Yeah.
And what's in that platform, I think parents and guardians need to really take more responsibility to monitor that, or what their kids are exposed to, because there's all sorts going on.
There's still this judgment now that, you know, a girl killed herself, you know, and they're still on it anyway.
I think I read that story.
Yeah, you know, but I'm like, you know, she was on the internet like 100.
Yeah.
There was a page. I think maybe it was TikTok. Maybe it was
I think it was. They said something. It was Pinterest or Tumblr or something.
Oh, okay.
I think she saw the girl had saw some images and stuff that was going around.
Yeah. You know, like now, you know. Well, I think with this ruling, you know, I think the government now has to step up their own game as well.
They do. Yeah. I just think it's just because social media is everywhere now, and it's lucrative for businesses and everyone to promote their brands and things. But I think if the government did more to safeguard kids, there are some organisations that do things around child online safety. I think it's called CEOP. CEOP is CEOP, and that's all about teaching awareness to children and young people about the safety of online, because there's Kik, there's so many platforms out there.
Yeah,
there's some that even underground as well, that are like is it 4chan? One called 4chan that's been tied to a lot of extremist ideas and viewpoints. You might have heard of MGTOW, MGTOW, which is men getting their own way. So, you know, a lot of young men are being influenced by the messages that are on that platform about serious levels of misogynism, you know. So, and to the point of what's happened is violence, you know, violence against women, or violence against what they call Chads and Beckies. So even that, you have to be aware of, really aware of what our kids, the younger generations are listening to. We really like what platforms they're using, putting filters on the internet and stuff like that. But I don't think parents or guardians or anyone really monitors that properly.
Yeah, the economic situation has, tied I wouldn't say everybody, but when you continue to go through that circle, you wouldn't look at any other thing. Going to you. Yeah, I know definitely you travel a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, definitely you'll be seeing different things, different countries, different people, how's it been, because I see your pictures, I see, going even the north of England and things like that. Yeah. So how's it been for you?
Well, this year I think alone it was I think I've travelled probably 7 different countries, and then maybe 4 different UK locations, like outside of London. So for one, it does come at a cost, but for me, it's the thing I love doing the most. Really, I love traveling.
Yeah,
I love immersing myself in cultures, experiences.
Yeah,
I was saying that one of my own personal quotes is, traveling and immersing yourself in different cultures is the greatest antidepressant, because I feel like it's a way to get out of this feeling of feeling like run down, low, exhausted. But when you just get away, I think once you immediately step out of the M25, you just feel the weight on your shoulders just kind of ease. Like, you do. The amount of people. The amount of people I ask, the amount of people who tell me this is phenomenal. Just the way.
And the funny thing is that once you get out of that, the people are nicer.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Yeah.
Cutsy, like on the spot. Hey, and you're like, what happened, bro? When you come back to London, it's like you're now mourning. Everybody,
whether it's the weather, it's how late the bus is, it's how late the train is, it's the bills, everything. What we have to think about is this London is a city of over 9 million people. I feel like we're all like ants in a large nest, just like rushing around. But once you venture out of that, this hive or whatever you call it, you just feel tranquil. You're out in nature. You just feel the weight off your shoulders. You can
even the fresh air and the food.
Even the food is fresh,
even though it's still chicken and chips.
The chicken and chips in Leeds just taste.
I'm telling you,
just taste like or the fish and chips, whatever. It's just different. I don't know. The air quality. You're not breathing in exhaust.
Sugar.
And smelling that sewage or the bins. The bins are stinking up and smelling on the streets. But as much as London, like getting out of London is great. London is what really allows us. I guess the fact that we've got a lot of travel links is what allows me to go away, like flying through Stansted or Gatwick or taking a train from King's Cross. It is a hub for getting in and out of the city. So especially the international travel, I felt like COVID really took 2 good years of our lives, and I just I went in on the traveling. I went in and I spent money, but I don't regret a single moment, because you'll be surprised, especially as a black male or someone considered, of black origin or descent, going to places where you would think people are going to look at you funny, like Czechia or Czech Republic, but the love and you get like a good reception from people. People they don't look at you twice, they don't give you dirty looks. They might kind of give you a brief look, but they'll look away. Same with Croatia. When I was there in May, and the people are absolutely lovely. They have an interesting sort of humour, very dry, dark humour. So they're very people. You have to kind of break them down a bit. Like you have to kind of relate to them and crack jokes and stuff. But as a result of going to Croatia, I made a really good friend out there. I'm still in touch. I'll visit again, and they are a Croatian national. They've not. I don't think they've ever had a friend of black origin in their life. And when I went to Croatia, met this friend in a club, and he said, "I'll show you around. You're a good guy." And we just connected that night. And then a few days later, he called me up. He said, "I'm going to pick you up and take you to the mountains with my 2 sons." So I went there. I ate food with him and his two sons, and I was just connecting with them. We went to just like near the mountains. There was streams. We're eating very authentic Croatian food. And when would that ever happen? When would that ever happen in this nation of ours, where someone's going to be so hospitable to just take you at their own time, to take you to where they grew up? Took me to where his uncle and his auntie were living. They didn't speak English, but I still was kind of engaging with them. They just brought out some cheese platter. They gave me a bit of wine. We went into the garden with food they were growing. They had a dog. I thought, this is unbelievable. just we should never ever feel as people of colour, especially, that we're ever held back in this day and age. It's just, if you have a good heart and you're approachable, don't let that faze you, because we have a lot to give. We have a lot to bring to the world. And if I can just show people that we're not how we're portrayed in the media. That's what I live to do, is to counteract all that negativity we see in the news. And rest in peace to Chris Cabba and some of the young black people who've gone through a lot in this nation and in the world, and the negative press. So when you go to these places like Portugal or Croatia or even further beyond, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at the reception you can get. But just being true to yourself and just not allowing that defeatist mentality to hold you back. Because if you do think, I think people are racist here, I bet they are, it will, I think whatever you put out there into the universe will affect you and affect your mannerisms and how approachable you might be. But if you just go out there just to be yourself, you'll be surprised. Of course, you have to be careful wherever you go, and maybe go with other people, but you'll be surprised. The experiences I've had this year it's been one of the best years for traveling I've ever had, because of just the amazing people that I've met along the way. And there's more to come. There's more to come. Just short trips for the rest of sort of autumn and winter, and then next year mainly most of my trips were in Europe, but next year maybe looking at somewhere like Indonesia, Bali, or looking at somewhere like Argentina or somewhere like that. But it's all money. Cost of living crisis, mate. It's like, what?
Of course. Most especially
is it bills or is it travelling? Which one? No. But we all have to have our ways to deal with this. We all have to have our ways. Whatever you enjoy most doing, we have to try and do that as much and within reason as we can, whether that's traveling or seeing nature, or whether it's doing things like this, a podcast, or whether it's spending time with family. I just think that You know, I feel like life is brief. Life is brief, and
Yeah.
you just have to enjoy
Yeah.
every moment.
Yeah,
You do.
It's part of what that made me to create all this platform, because yes, there's social media.
Mm.
Yes, some people do TikTok, and you see it every day. This person is doing this person is doing it. But I've noticed that engagement is a paramount thing to do with people, that because people could be having engagement but not really into it,
For sure.
So it's the same thing with what I said back, that the DJ that died, look at it. Well, I believe his job is to create fun for people. And he was doing it, for fun, maybe, but it just, like, why will it come to this level for him to take himself? Now, if you look at it as something that you tie to people's fun,
yes,
see it as like a destiny thing that you're doing for people, that once, as like my work, once someone comes and say, oh yes, man, I love what you did, man, my girlfriend was super excited, heck was that gives me joy, and I feel like, man, good.
Yeah.
I'm repairing people's life in a good way. You understand? So even this podcast, I'm like, okay, because people would always sit down and say, oh, what can we see? Just like you said, there are other platforms that show viral things that it is
very controversial topics, and it just clickbait. Clickbait.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because they might be talking about something that's funny, and then that'll be in the title, and then it gets hundreds of thousands of views. Great, that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that educational? How is that beneficial?
So I'm like, okay, now I'm on it. Yeah. Lastly, unspoken answers to unspoken questions. What can you give us to people? People of color. Students and people watching us.
Just generally. Okay, so I'd say for people of color, first of all, as we were kind of reviewing Black History Month, we can always see this as a date, or a month where we celebrate or we review. First of all, like, review Black history going back. The past is extensive, and the past is traumatic and it's horrible in many ways. I think we've got the beauty now of collaborating and working to move forward. Black people particularly have a lot of talent, skills. They have something to bring to this wonderful world of ours, and I think let's not allow the defeatism or the past to ruin that. I'm seeing a lot of young Black women and men elevating in different ways. You're seeing it with the influencers. You're seeing it with people who are setting up their own businesses, with companies. I'm seeing it with people I've grown up with who set up amazing organisations. UK Black Business Show in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
You know about that. I grew up with the founder.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's support that. Let's collaborate. Let's rally to go there, and to like, I'll personally be visiting that just to show love and to see that working out. So that's on the from the 17th to the 22nd of October. So let's push past these boundaries. It doesn't matter about the element of success as well. I just want people to see that if you're making a difference even in a small facet, that's one thing we should always just appreciate and acknowledge. It's not always about that 6-figure, 7-figure income. Those things can come with time. But if you're fulfilling your passion and making a difference and doing things like this, you know, where you can have open, honest conversations, you're checking in on people, you are, I guess it's just, it's our kind of good works, it's our good deeds, because it's not all about the material aspect in this life. So that's kind of one thing for people of color, and looking at areas such as tech, AI, business. There's platforms, there's things being pushed out, black in tech, color in tech. There's a lot of initiatives now that are coming out. Next up, for the students, really, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough coming years, but education doesn't stop. You know, education, even my institute, we didn't see a lack in any enrollments, even though there is this, you know, the enrollments were very good and steady this year. So it's just keep calm and carry on. Just keep calm, carry on, think outside the box, work hard, maybe have a side hustle to get an extra bit of cash. Don't just rely on that money coming in from Student Finance England, because it's not enough. It's not enough to live on, especially if you're paying out on rent, gas, energy bills, you know, if you have kids. So I'm always saying, you know, look at opportunities. There are graduate and student specific employers, Target Jobs, Bright Network, Gradcracker, there's Indeed, there's LinkedIn. There's so many that are looking. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities out there. So there's that's what I'm always encouraging students in my day-to-day work. And I guess lastly, generally, I think the main thing for me, I guess even what I've personally decided to do, is to come away from social media for a period of time. I really want to focus on my craft and my job, what I'm doing right now within my placements and employment work, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the work I do, but I'm often distracted by social media. Like, you know, I've found myself, social media is considered what we call a process addiction, that is actually bringing us to levels of concentration that are lowering by the year. So I've decided just for this season just to step away from it and just to enjoy time with people. So my advice really, just generally for people, is that don't put your self-validation into social media. Our validation should be within ourselves and with our maker, with our creator. That's where we should find our sense of self-worth, because yeah, you know me, as you've seen, flying here, flying there, and I'm putting out like, look at me, but no one knows the struggle.
Yeah.
No one sees the struggle behind closed doors.
Yeah.
No one knows that it's, as I said, there's no rest days. It feels like as a man, there's no rest days. I feel like I'm working hard, but no one sees that. No one sees the difficulties I might face in other aspects of my life, but my social media will present, oh, look at me traveling there, going here, going to that party, going to this function. I don't need the validation. No one needs the validation from people who majority are just looking at your post and they're not going to show no love. So I advise for people, like in their own way, just to step away from allowing social media to really take a hold on our lives in terms of our sense of self-worth. The reason why I'm doing it is a very subjective reason. It's my personal reason, but for others, I just think it's something that I guess we all can do, is just to maybe use it for something like this, a good platform, but don't let it become about posting every little thing about your life. There's something beautiful about having a bit of privacy as well. There's something beautiful about not putting everything out there, because people feel like they know you. They feel like they know you, but they actually don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know. They only know this, what you put on social media. So I've stepped away for it for the season. Looking forward to 2023 and what that holds, because the plan is by next year really to, where I'm doing this placement and employment work, I really want to branch maybe into a side hustle by next year, and do my own, maybe buying and selling or investments and things like that. So social media is one of the biggest procrastinators for me. So that's why I'm off it personally. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, Ola.
Nice.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for gracing our platform. Unspoken answers to unspoken questions. Drop your comment, subscribe, and share. See you next time.
See you next time. Cheers, man.
Yes, Christian. Thanks, man.
You can edit.